안녕하세요, 여러분. 저는 소라입니다.
And I'm Ed, and you're listening to the
Vamos a Jeju podcast.
하나, 둘, 셋.
Hey everyone, welcome to today's episode of the Vamos a Jeju podcast. Today is an episode that really hatched in my brain when I was deep in research planning for our family trip to Jeju. In case you guys have not heard, my entire family will be going to Jeju to visit Sarah and Jaden around the Christmas period in the end of this year. And so a bunch of the family members were really excited about doing some serious hiking while in Jeju. And then there were others in the family who were not so excited about doing hiking because I'm not going to name names here, but some of them really hate hiking. And so when I was planning this trip, I had to figure out how to combine something that would be meaningful for people who like hiking with the requirements of people who actually don't like hiking at all. So that seemed like a very difficult thing to bridge. And I was
Mhm.
able to do this together with some help from my buddy, Sora. Hey, say hi, Sora.
Oh, hello, everyone. Okay, so today we're going to talk about the hiking for hiking haters. For me, I like hiking. I don't really walk a lot, but I like to go up to the Oreum or Halasan Mountain. But my partner, he's not a big fan of hiking. But now he's getting better because we're living in Jeju. So we're really good at making those compromises.
Yeah,
Okay. Yeah.
compromises. Yeah. Yeah,
Okay.
that's how I travel too.
Mm-hmm.
I have to make sure that there's something that's not too boring for me, but still not too hard for the person that I travel with. Oh, heck, it's my wife. Okay, just like Jaden, she's gotten much better at hiking. So I guess it's one of those things where, like, if I can help her hike and not hate it as much, then she actually gets more fit and then that
Mm-hmm.
expands the horizons a lot more. So today I'm really excited about sharing the plans that I have for my family. We're not going to do every single hike, but I definitely put together a hike based on different categories like, oh, do you want to hike near a beach? Do you want to like see beautiful views of the ocean? Like I definitely want to walk around windmills. Like I put it by category, and my thinking was I want to present to my family. Here's a menu pun. Here's a menu of options. In my planning, I had four standards or four benchmarks that make this a hike for people who hate hikes. And so the first standard is it cannot be too long. So it's got to be about an hour plus minus, give and take. Like if it's too short, it doesn't feel like anything. If it's too long, it's like, oh my gosh, this is terrible. So
Mhm, mhm.
1 hour, 1.5 hours, depends. So that's the first benchmark. It cannot be too long. Number two is there cannot be too much elevation gain. So it cannot be some major hikes. And so like Songsan Yuchubong is going to be the maximum amount of height of climbing. Halasan, definitely not. So it's going to be not too difficult, not too steep an incline. The third item is there needs to be something that's interesting to see or do along the entire stretch. It shouldn't be like, oh, you're climbing in some forest and then suddenly, oh, beautiful view, but the forest may be boring after a while. So it's got to be like nice views, or there's going to be places to take photos of, and there's going to be interesting stops along the way. The fourth benchmark is there needs to be a place to rest. So, of course, benches and all that, and the Jeju Olle has a lot of places to rest. But better yet, if there's like a nice cafe or restaurant or an ice cream place, like a place to stop so that it doesn't feel like it's a major hike. And then I said four, but as a bonus item, it's like if there's a way to bail out, if there's a way to stop early without a major difficulty, that would be a bonus. For instance, if like the hike, somewhere along the hike, there's a way to take a bus back to the city, or if there's an easy way to hail a taxi from your Uber app, I took all those factors into consideration as well. Those are the yardsticks or benchmarks I took coming into planning my trip. And today we're going to dive into these. If you would like to review all the things we talk about today, we've got a blog post that we've written, and it's at vamosrjeju.com/hike.
I like the idea that you have cafes along the way because if you go up like 1 hour, 2 hour without anything, it's gonna feels like labor, not hobby. So it's good that you stop by at the cafe and get some coffee, take some photos, then okay, I can start again. So I think for hike hater, it's not good that you always go to the mountain, go up to the mountain. So I think it's gonna be a good if we can just walk around the city. Then where do you usually recommend to walk inside the city?
So I think we've covered this before in previous episodes around cherry blossoms and all that. But and there's this category of hikes among the hiking world called urban hikes or urban walks. And so these are basically hikes in, like you said, towns, cities, built up environments. And so for Jeju City, one of my favorite places to walk around is in the Cherry Blossom Street. I think it's called Jeonnongno Cherry Blossom Street, right? And
Mhm.
yeah, and so that's the one where we mentioned in the previous episode that it has got cherry blossoms, but even if the cherry blossoms are not there, it's got murals all around the neighborhood. And so this is not going to be a hike in as in like you're going from one place to another place far away. It's going to be a hike within a neighborhood that's got full of murals and cafes and stuff like that. And so you can take about 1 to 2 hours walking. And the cheat code here is that at any point in time, there's going to be a cafe or a convenience store or a restaurant in that neighborhood. You can stop at any time. And if you get sick of looking at the mirrors, you can call it quits and just take a bus or a taxi because you're still in the city. So this can go from like 30 minutes or you can go up to like 2 hours. Like, and if you're really into the murals, and my wife really liked the murals, I think we were there for almost an hour and a half to 2 hours. So this is the ultimate urban hike because number one, lots of places to chill out and have a drink and or eat. You can quit at any time, and you are always seeing something, and you don't even know you're having a hike, but you are because after 2 hours, you've like, oh wow, you've taken like 6,000 steps or 8,000 steps. It all depends. So it's very flexible, and to me, it's a very great introduction. And then the bonus is you are in Jeju City. You are like less than 20-30 minutes from the airport. So literally, you don't have to stress out about it. No planning needed, except maybe looking at the weather forecast. But yeah, it's easy, low effort, low risk, high return. So that to me is a great example of an urban walk.
And actually, in that street, there's many cute souvenir shop. So you don't get, I mean, there's no time to get bored. So whenever I go to this street, I think I spend a lot of time like checking all these new souvenir shop and like a vintage shops, like these kind of stuff. Like I can spend like more than 2 hours, I think.
And then that's for Jeju City. So when we talk about urban hikes or urban walks, there's only really two urban built up areas in Jeju. One is of course Jeju City, and the other one's in the south in Seogwipo City. And so Seogwipo City has a very interesting walk. It's actually named in English. It's spelled as Lee Jung-Seop Street, but in Korean it's pronounced as Lee Jung-Seop. So
Mhm.
Lee Jung-seop was a Korean artist, I think in the early 1900s. And so the reason why this street is worth looking at is that it's on a hill. So it's pretty steep. But the nice thing is you can start from the top because the top is where the daily market in Seogwipo City is there. It's worth checking out. But that's the beginning of the Lee Jung-seop Street, and then it goes downhill. So I chose this because that way you're not climbing, you are going down. Of course, going down is an effort too, but it is less difficult for non-hikers, especially if you take it slow. And along this street, it goes down pretty steep in some places. There are, like Sora mentioned, souvenir stores, there's cafes, there's restaurants, and then at the final payoff is like maybe 10-15 minutes later, there will be the Lee Jong-seop Museum. It's an art museum. It's a paid entry, but there's a free part which is outside. It shows the where the artist used to live when he was staying with people, and that is a very old Jeju style house. If you watch like When Life Gives You Tangerines and all that, that is what it looks like. It's like it's old. It's how people used to live there. And then bonus points, if you want to go even further, you can actually walk another 20-30 minutes to Saeyeongyo Bridge, which connects you to Saeseom Island. That bridge takes you to Saeseom Island, which has its own hike as well. So I do this as two separate hikes because I don't want to subject people who hate hiking to such a long hike. But when I walk on my own, I actually do it in one stretch. I start from the 5-day market, walk downhill to the museum, and then keep going through dive stores and all that. And I finally get to the Saeseongyo Bridge and onto Saeseom Island. And I like to just sit there on the island and watch the fishing fleet of Seogwipo Harbor start leaving. And so I just like to see those boats go out. And I recognize that not everybody likes to do that. So that's why I do it on my own.
I want to give you one update because the art museum of Jung-Seop is now under maintenance. So they're remodeling those buildings. So it's closed until 2027. So they're going to reopen in 2027. But instead of the paid art museum, now we have like free small gallery at the end of the street. So you can actually have a look for free inside. So yeah, you can see that art museum and then the place where he lived. But actually, it was not his house. He
Yeah,
rented one small room for his whole family. But there's,
yes.
a lot more to talk about him. Just briefly, he got married to Japanese woman during Japanese colony. So you can imagine how hard their life was. So we can talk about this for later, like longer episode.
There's a reason
Okay.
why I didn't mention that.
Okay.
And also, he was very depressed for a long part of his life.
But he was happy in Jeju, only in Jeju.
So, Sora, have you actually walked up and down the, I'm going to use the English version, Jung-Seop Street before? Is it part of your tour itineraries for anybody?
Right. Sometimes I do tours for like cruise excursion to go to Jung-Seop area because we have another port in the south, Seogwipo. So when we have people from that port, usually we go to Seogwipo Market and then Jung-Seop Street and all of these area.
Yeah. So, walking down, of course, you got to take it slow so your knees don't hurt. Climbing up can be a bit difficult, but the nice thing is you can always like get a taxi or take a bus if you don't want to walk up, which is my plan. Like I can actually do something like, okay, for the people in my group who don't want to walk, here's the bus. We'll see you back up at the Olle market. And for the rest of us, let's run up the hill.
Yeah, you don't
Something
need to
like
go to
that.
the gym after that.
That's right. Okay, so that is what I had for urban walks for my family to choose from. And then the next one, while we talk about not having to walk uphill in Seogwipo City, this next one has some uphill walking, has some incline, has some elevation, and that's because it's Oreums. But then I picked the Oreums that are not too difficult. So you're not going to find like a Tarangshi in this one. It's going to be easy ones. And they're also both of them are actually in Jeju City, but I didn't include them in the urban hikes because there's more nature than built up stuff. And even the built up stuff are just like smaller neighborhoods. And so the two we're going to talk about, we will actually talk about a lot more in a future episode on K-drama stuff. And so the first one is going to be Sarabong Oreum, which is very close to where Sora lives. And then the other one is going to be Dodubong Oreum and the adjoining Rainbow Coastal Road. So since Sarabong is where Sora lives, they should name it Sorabong, I think. So Sora, tell us more about Sarabong.
So actually, I'm living like right next to Sarabong entrance. Like from my apartment to the entrance of the trail, I think it's 1 minute. And then to go up, there's two different paths. There's a steps. It's shorter but more steep. But on the other side, it's more like hairpin turn. It's more like this. It takes more time.
Sora, you do realize this is a podcast. So when you like wave your finger in the air and say like this, no one is going to see it. But yeah, it's a walking trail that twists and turns all the way up. But so less steep but longer walk.
Well, my partner and we prefer the shorter one. We always put our stopwatch from the entrance and then measure how long it's gonna take. So at the beginning, usually it took like 11 minutes, 12 minutes to go up. And after a few months, it took only 7 minutes. It means that you can go up really, really fast. Think like just if you just walk less than 15 minutes, it's really like short work, but at the end, it's gonna be really rewarding. Because in Jeju, we call it like there's a top 10 beautiful view from Joseon Dynasty, and it is one of those top 10 view, which is like Sabong Nakjo, meaning like the sunset from the Sarabong Oreum. It's one of those top 10 view. It's really beautiful to see the sunset and also the boats that you like. Yeah, you're gonna see those boats going out to work at night, and you can also see those flights, the airplane landing, taking off.
Yep, but both the boats and the airplanes taking off and landing are quite far away. It's not
Mm-hmm.
up close. Like earlier, I talked about
Yeah.
from Seogwipo harbor, you're gonna be really close, like maybe 50 meters from the boats. From
Mm-hmm.
Sarabong and looking at the boats leaving from Jeju Harbor, it's much further, and then the planes are even further, which is fine because the next Orem we're gonna talk about brings you much closer to the airport. So if you are
Mm-hmm.
if you're an av geek, as an aviation geek like me, Dodubong Orum is a great place to just sit there and watch planes land for as long as your wife will let you.
Also, if she doesn't want to stay in the top of the autumn, just go to cafe nearby. There's, Namo Namo Bakery or Polbase. They have rooftop. So you can just keep her inside the cafe, enjoy herself, and then you can go up to the rooftop and then just watch.
And I guess the nice thing about the cafes is, at least for Namo Namo, there was an elevator, so you can just take an elevator to the rooftop. Yeah, but Dodubong Orum is just half of it. The other half of it is going to be the Rainbow Coastal Road, and that one can be as long or as short as you want to. And here's the beauty of it: there's a bus that goes along the Rainbow Coastal Road. It is not very frequent, so it's like maybe once an hour. So my tactic is, normally I'll drive to the area, maybe near Dodubong, and then I time it so that the bus is coming. We all get on the bus, and I go as far as I think my family will want to walk, and then we get off. So once we get off, maybe like 10 minutes later, we walk back. So that makes it a bit shorter. I don't subject people who hate walking to a longer walk than necessary. And even then, if you can get to near to the airport runway, there is a park there. It's actually Jeju Olle Trail 17 midpoint. The park
Mm-mm.
is called Oyong Gongwan or Oyong Park, and that's very close to one of the runways at the airport. And so typically, there's nice views. If it's not too windy, when it's windy, it's just very cold. And then you will walk that coastal road back. It takes about 60 minutes to get back to Dodubong. But the beauty of it is a very touristy area. So if you get tired, you can either wait for the next bus or take a taxi back to your starting point. And better yet, there's actually a Daiso near the park. So for people who really get sick of hiking, there's an emergency escape to go to Daiso and do some shopping while the rest keep walking. So that's kind of how I try to juggle hike lovers and hike haters in one group.
So from like near Dodubong area, you can actually see like beautiful ocean, like for panorama, but it's hard to go down because it's very rocky. Lots of volcanic rocks underneath, so it's kind of dangerous. I don't recommend you to go down. But in on the other side of island, there's white sandy beach, which is called Pyosan, and it's one of your favorite at, right?
Yeah, it's one of those where the first time I went with Michelle, it was high tide and then it was very windy. And so there was all these wind surfers or kite surfers in the bay. And then 1 year later, when I went there as part of hiking the Olle Trail, it was super, super low tide. And I was amazed to see like the same exact spot where there were kite surfers. It was just like dry sand. There were like little kids running on the sand and hiking. And so all that is to say that this is actually a very nice place to go to. And if you combine it with like a visit to the Jeju Folk Village, which is like a paid attraction in the same area, and then you go for a hike around the bay on the sand. You can just walk up and down the sand and the boardwalk, the boulevard. It is It is a short walk. It takes about maybe 30 minutes to 45 minutes, depending on which direction you want to go to. But yeah, it's just walking on the sand. It's kind of fun. And then there's nice places to eat in Pyeongseon itself. And so that is very handy. It is going to be important to check the tide tables because obviously if the tide's in, you're not going to be walking on the sand.
And the other one, my favorite beach to walk around is Gwangchigi Beach near Seongsan Sunrise Peak. Because when it's low tide, you're gonna see this beautiful, I don't know how to describe this. The volcanic rocks usually underwater, but when we have low tide, it's gonna be like greenish stuff on the volcanic rock. And it's beautiful, beautiful. Like especially for sunrise. I don't think you're gonna go for sunrise, but if it's sunrise and low tide, it's beautiful, perfect, perfect.
If you're used to just like white sand beaches, this is actually a pretty nice contrast. And one thing that's really cool is that you actually see Songsan Yeochubong across the water, and so I don't know, I just will never get sick of the view. It's like someone put a green carpet on top of the
Mhm.
lava rock, and then there's like Songsan Yeochubong, and then whether or not the sun is there depends on the time, but it's just beautiful. I think this is a great place to go either early in the morning for the sunrise or in the evening when the sun is going down. I don't think you see the sun setting, but the colors are much nicer when the sun
Mhm,
is going.
mhm.
And
Right, right.
when I was there with my cousin Dar, we will be looking at the tide pools. Like there'll be all this little water that's trapped in the tides, and then looking for fish. We didn't see much fish, which is surprising, but it was still pretty to look at. So that's the beaches. Today we talked about some of the urban hikes that I'm really hoping to take my family to when we get there for the Christmas period, and we touched on some of the urban hikes in Jeju City as well as in Seogwipo City. We also touched on a couple of Oreums, and we talked about some of the beaches. In the next episode, we're going to talk about the rest of the hikes that I'm hoping to take my family on. And these will be the hikes around the Cape or headlands. And we're going to talk about getting on a hike to the windmills, hikes with rich history, as well as some hikes in tea plantations and waterfalls. Now, if you cannot wait for the next episode, you can go to vamosarjeju.com/hike. That's VAMOSAJEJU.com/hike. And there you'll be able to find the blog post that we've compiled for all the hikes from today's episode and next week's. And don't forget that you can find our trip planner to help DIY travelers at vamosarjeju.com/trip. That's VAMOSAJEJU.com/trip.
One more thing, did you know it's very easy to share our show with your friends on Apple Podcasts? Just tap on the horizontal three dots on the top right corner and tap on the share show icon. And on Spotify, you can find the three horizontal dots near the top right under our show art, and you will see the share icon.
Yep, and with that, all that's left for us to do is to say
안녕.
Yong.
하나, 둘, 셋.
Get all our latest articles, videos, and resources on Jeju DIY travel, culture, and history at vamosajeju.com. That's VAMOSAJEJU.com. If you would like to get updates about Jeju or even Korea sent straight to your email, sign up for our dispatches at vamosajeju.com/update. And finally, the best way for a new podcast like this to grow is organically. So if you found this episode helpful, please share us with a friend. And who knows, maybe you'll Vamos a Jeju together this year. The Vamos Our Jeju podcast is part of the Passport Optional Network.